If you're like me, when you deal with a professional, you like to know a little bit about them. So, who is Gene Brown, the founder and principal at Bedrock Fiduciaries? Well, I'm Gene Brown. I'm a California licensed professional fiduciary and professional daily money manager. And today's video will be a little bit about my background, what led me to this profession, and to the founding of this company. Hello again. Thanks for taking a few minutes to learn a little bit more about who I am and why I founded Bedrock Fiduciaries. I strongly believe that the people behind a company are a lot more important than the organization. The company is just a shell. The people are who you will work with and deal with, and that's the heart and soul of a company. So let me take a few minutes of your indulgence and tell you a little bit about my background personally and the path that led me to form Bedrock Fiduciaries. On a personal level, I grew up in the Northeast, where I had the pleasure of going to summer camp in Maine and taking family vacations on Cape Cod. Very, very lucky in that regard. I was educated at Williams College for undergrad, where I studied economics and spent my junior year abroad, and went on to earn my MBA from the University of Chicago. Had a great time in that city. Professionally, after business school, I worked for a number of major corporations like Ford Motor Company and Nissan North America, primarily in national roles, handling marketing, PR, and product planning. Over the course of that education and that career, I've lived in a number of cities, Detroit obviously with Ford Motor Company and the Northeast, but also Denver and Houston, and ultimately here in Southern California. The loves of my life include tennis, and I jokingly like to say this is Roger Federer emulating my backhand, whereas in reality, of course, I'm sure you realize, I wish I had his backhand. Boating, which I always enjoy when I'm on Cape Cod in particular. And the real loves of my life, my dog, who was not actually in the movie, but was able to be featured in a promo poster, and my wife. Now, as for Bedrock Fiduciaries, this all began when an aunt of mine, who had no children of her own, suffered a stroke in early 2013. She did have several nieces and nephews, of whom I happened to be the youngest. And as it turns out, between availability and schedules and skill set and inclination, I was the one who stepped forward to help out when it became apparent that this traditionally fiercely independent woman was going to be unable to look after her affairs in the way that was needed at the time. And initially, I was very much her daily money manager, making sure her apartment rent was paid, and she'd left in a hurry to go to the ER for her stroke, dealing with the medical claims for her care as she was in a nursing home and receiving additional rehab, and paying all kinds of other bills, her taxes, making sure those were filed. And over time, and over the course of a couple of moves, which were a tremendous amount of work, I can tell you, especially coordinating them from California, because one detail I may not have mentioned is that she lived in New York State. I eventually became trustee of her estate as well, when she decided the time had come to resign. So ultimately, I was handling all of her financial and healthcare matters, and I'm happy to say that she was living quite happily in an assisted living facility near my mother when she ultimately passed away early in 2020, just in time to avoid COVID, which we weren't eager to see her die by any means, but she was in an assisted living facility, and the anxiety I would have had she still been there during the pandemic certainly would have been considerable. But during this time, as I handled all these things, learned how to handle them, there were many times when I asked, what would have become of her if not for me? Now, the truth in this case, of course, is that one of my cousins would quite likely have stepped forward, and they're very capable people, and in this case, disaster would probably not have struck, but in many cases, there's no such person to step forward. Whether there are warring family members, no one of whom can be counted to fully carry out a person's wishes, or people simply don't have the particular skill set that's needed to juggle all the tasks involved in handling someone else's affairs from end to end. There are a number of reasons why there might not be someone readily available to fulfill these roles. And that's why the role of professional fiduciary and daily money manager exists. And when I learned that these are real professions, in fact, licensed professional fiduciary, as the title implies, is licensed in the state of California and many other states, but not all states, I decided that this was a big unmet need that I was going to help fulfill for the balance of my career, because one of the things that is hardest to find is someone who will not only fill this role when needed, but will stay in the role for as long as needed. Now, no one lives forever, but that's one of the distinctions between hiring a private professional fiduciary and using a corporate trustee, is the continuity that you will get over time and the understanding that will result from that continuity. So I formed Bedrock Fiduciaries. This will be my last job, and it's one that I hope to hold for several decades. My aunt ended up passing away, as I said, in early 2020. So between that time and early 2021, I've been involved in the distributing of her estate, preparation for her final tax bill that will be due in 2021, and so on. But that is the path that led me to this conclusion. That is the background that led me to become the person I am today. And I hope it gives you a little better flavor for who I am, what this company is about, and whether it might be a good fit for you. Please let us know how we can help.